Hello, thank you very much for joining me. My name is Fable Narrative, and let's get right into this. I'm on Star Trek Universe Panels SDCC 2020 Comic-Con at Home with CBS All Access on YouTube, and there's a big issue here. I was never a fan of Star Trek, but I always respected the fandom when I was growing up. When I was watching the prequels and then eventually the originals, original Star Wars, prequel Star Wars, original Star Wars. But I always respected Star Trek as a whole and the fandom and who they were. I never went after them. I never cared. But I thought they were like a good tandem, like the heads and tails, the hot and cold. The Star Wars is hot, fire, action. Star Trek is critical thinking, plot development. It's like, well, I think you've already understood about the Star Wars in a nutshell. But the new Star Trek that has came out, the new Star Trek universe with specifically Kurtzman, is that they are a political activist organization. And that's a big issue for me. I was in the middle of doing a reaction video, and it took me about 33 minutes to get up to 3 minutes, because I was stopping it every single time and be like, well, why, huh? Wait, what? So, and there's a really good point here. I'm going to be continue doing the entire thing, which might take me 3, 4, 5 hours to do the entire thing, but I want to highlight this one moment with you that should only take about 1-2 minutes to discuss. The two producers on the show are saying that they have a specific agenda for the show, and the show is not creating Star Trek. The show is to promote political associations to use their platforms as Activism, and it's within the first 3 minutes and 26 seconds you actually get to get into it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to be pausing it every once in a while because CBS has an overreach with what is copyright able or not, so let's get into it.
I think we're all so proud to be working on a show that has a message that...
Pause. The show itself should be the message, not the message it tells us about the world in which we live. John Wick 1 was a pretty okay film. I loved it. It's in my repertoire. It's in my recommendation list for anybody out there. But it's very singular. It's very mononistic, or if I'm using that word correctly. It's a guy who's on a search for revenge, and he doesn't talk much and uses guns. But it's really well made. John Wick 2. Phenomenal development. The universe, the coins, everything about it was awesome. The villains were awesome, were top-notch, including Ruby Rose, who, she was a mute, and I think her acting was amazing there. Batwoman, no, her acting is retarded. But in John Wick 2, she was phenomenal. You got to see her expressions, what she was thinking, because you got to see her facial expressions. Those were awesome. I loved that. But then John Wick 3 kind of blew it for me. But anyways, the story of John Wick 1 and 2 and 3 are all enclosed within the show. That when you start to expand upon it into the real world, you start to conflict about, well, is the story telling that? Or are you trying to hit a message that I'm supposed to believe, and if I don't agree with that, then the message should be whatever is in the story.
That really matters and really resonates.
And what resonates are characters you can identify with. Not your physical, immutable characteristic, but a character that tries to do the right thing. A character who goes through the hardship and overpowers and overcomes the difficulties.
I think anyone who does what they do on this side of the camera, on the other side of the camera, is hoping to say something.
Pausing it for copyright issues.
And I think what's great when you're working on genre is you often get to say things about...
She hasn't really been saying anything.
...about current events and mask them so they...
Current events, we'll get into that.
You don't feel like medicine or that you're being taught something, and
that's the issue.
I think in the case of Star Trek, thematically, it's just been baked into what Star Trek is about.
Star Trek, what you can see right there on screen, is about a better hope, about equality, gender equality, racial equality, sexual equality, etc.
Better hope about equality, gender equality, racial equality, sexual equality.
By the way, if you're going to say equality, you don't ever have to add any other type of descriptor of equality, because if you mean equality, there's equality. Or are you talking about special rights? Are you wanting to be treated better in a particular situation because of other areas in your life that have been harmed, or regardless of whatever has happened in your past, whenever you or I come to an event, we are based on our merit, our thoughts, our words, our actions, how people think and feel about us, but not because of our immutable characteristics, but what we express, what we think, how we think those things, why we think those things, our reasons, things that any person can have.
I mean, it's what it is.
And you know,
there we go. There's a message that we are to have from one of the producers of Star Trek that what we think and feel, what we do on the show is about promoting those things about the current world in which we live in, rather than, like Firefly, had almost nothing to do with the current real world. It didn't, and if it did, it blew past my mind because I don't care about those things. Tell a good story. The story must be good. What are the characters going through? What is in the universe? Is there a villain that is phenomenal, who's actually competent? Because good villains, not people who kill or murder, but people who are the antagonists of the show, you don't have to murder and rape people to be a very interesting character. The interesting part of being a villain is someone with whom maybe ideologically wrong. Their application is wrong, but maybe what they're thinking about is correct. So it gives us a challenge that what you are doing is wrong, but there is a level of, there's just a challenge there. That's a good characteristic, and it doesn't have anything to do with you being like in Supergirl. There was an antagonist, and even Watchmen, the TV show from HBO. There was a kid in class, and it's in an alternative timeline where Nixon got a third term in presidency, and then the next person in line got like 20 years in as a president. So again, incredibly not our world. It doesn't follow the actual rules. And in that show, The Watchmen, HBO TV series, there is a kid in class who asks about how the woman who's giving a presentation in the front of the class about how she built her business with reparation money that was given to by the president as an act. It's an off-the-cuff reference as to who gave the reference. You have to actually look for it. It's really well made, but the 10-year-old kid in class who's asking that question, he's labeled a racist, but then he's defended like he's not a racist, but he's sure as hell on the right path to be one. He's on the path to becoming one. And it's like, no, that's a legitimate question to ask. Did you earn this money, or were you given this money by people who had nothing to do with any issues in the past of that one specific event in history, that I'm white, therefore I should pay for black things? Like, I don't get that. Why? Well, that makes you a racist for even bringing that up. And that's an issue. You're using the real world that, again, what if I disagree with your political message? Well, it's not for you then. What if you created a story about interracial conflict, but it wasn't just white supremacy or black supremacy, it was supremacy on whoever. And then if you have to be against white supremacy. Yeah, but I kind of stopped caring about that because I keep hearing it over and over and over how horrible that is. But what about other type of supremacy? What about Chinese supremacy? What about Asian culture supremacy if they came over to like Chinese organizations in America? Like, oh no, that's racist because it's not relevant, or shut up because you're white. Like, I keep getting told that. I'm tired of it. Like, I don't care anymore about you should feel bad because you're white, or shut up because you're white. Like, no, fuck you. That's retarded.
We've seen in the past few weeks that we've seen on the Star Trek social media platforms,
skipping.
Star Trek United. Alex, can you give us a sense about what that is telling us?
Star Trek United, and this is where we're going to sum it all up. And I said it was going to be a one or 2 minutes, but it's this one part. This is everything about why Star Trek is horribly wrong at everything.
Star Trek, really, since its inception, is
Star Trek, since its inception,
always,
its endeavor to speak to the vision that we are all fortunate enough to live in every day.
It's unfortunately not their vision that the rest of the world is living in, but we live in.
Well, I guess I could agree with that, but I don't know specifically what he's talking about. A general message, general acceptance.
This perfect world where, as Heather said, everybody really is united, and a lot of the differences that are dividing us these days are gone.
Right. Because what if I disagree with you politically? Well, let's make a show about a particular. Let's make for an example, a libertarian or conservative or a white supremacist, like a white supremacist show. I disagree with that one. Why would I ever watch it? Well, because it has good characters and good concepts as to maybe the challenges that somebody would have to go through to actually watching that. Yeah, but it's kind of political. I don't want to watch that. I think it's a little bit divisive. If you want to bring us all together, well, I guess you don't like good shows. Like the conflict is that you're making something political in the real world. Where if I was to watch that, if you and I disagree politically, you can make a good story. Maybe slip it in every once in a while, kind of like in, what's the show? Aquaman, where both Amber Heard, fucking horrible human being, who's been doing all those horrible things to Johnny Depp, and her character, Myriad or something, she and Aquaman were in the middle of the desert. And for like 30 solid seconds, she went on a climate change rant. She really did. And you got to, like, she was preaching. And then after she got her whole message in, Aquaman came in like, okay, wait. Not because what she was talking about was wrong or anything. It was just like, okay, you stop talking. It's like only about like 5, 10, 20 seconds, maybe at 15 at most, would be like that rant of like, well, what about this, and this? No, 30 seconds. That's a long time on clip for just one person to go onto a rant. And it was just awkward, and I hated that one part. Because it was a rant. Like, okay, well, your application on how you try to solve climate change, what if I disagree with your method? Well, I guess you don't like climate. I guess you are a climate change denier. It's like, whoa. That's the reason when politics is into our entertainment, it gets fucked up for everybody. Except for the people who are in charge. Except for the people who have the power, politically wise. Because if I disagree, are they going to cater to me? No. They're going to cater to the people who agree with them. They have the power. They get to do that. It's natural. It's not good, but it's natural.
So Star Trek United is an effort to bring awareness
to many of the organizations that are critical right now. Wait. Right now? Organizations? What do you mean, Alex Kurtzman?
Many of the organizations that are critical right now.
Bam! Look at that on screen. Black Lives Matter and the NAACP.
Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, a lot of our casts.
Speaking of that, Star Trek. Speaking to that, this guy's
Star
so
Trek
fucking boring to listen to.
The goal is not really to promote Star Trek.
Let's listen to that again. The goal is not to really promote Star Trek. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek. Wait a second. If you made a John Wick film, wouldn't it be pertinent that you promoted John Wick because that's what's the most important thing for anybody to go and watch that show? I believe Alex Kurtzman, without a doubt, is a political activist using Star Trek, a slime, and I'm going to say the word, a faggot, in its actual, not even just its actual terminology, but let me explain myself. A man who believes himself to be a woman and cannot be criticized because of the good he thinks that he's doing. Oh my gosh, that's what I think he is. Again, within that term. Not about anything. It's a derogative name I'm trying to use against Alex Kurtzman. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It's with your demeanor and how you think and feel. Because gay has nothing to do with being a faggot. Faggot was a derogative term, just like the word nigger. It's not a good word. But if there's like one or two people out there, one or two specifically, just horrible people, you can call it because it's applicable. One or two people you could call I really don't know because I don't care about any other derogative term against anyone else. There's like, I think Chenk or something, but I don't get why that's a bad term for a Chinese man or something. I don't care. But with the activity that he's doing right now, if you are trying to, you have hightailed, you have robbed, you have taken over Star Trek, the name, and now you are promoting something political, which I loved, I respected, that's the better word, I respected Star Trek. I enjoyed a few episodes, like in Deep Space Nine, in The Next Generations, I love Data. Data is one of my favorite characters. Picard, he's not bad, but there's just so many other characters, specifically Data, which that's the only character that I really know. But I watch clips on YouTube, and I just absolutely I'm infatuated with Data. Data as a character is amazing. You get to see that development of him trying to understand what does it mean to be human. Well, I try to do this and this and this and this and this and this and so on and so forth. And there's many great lessons that can become from that. But you, Alex Kurtzman, have hijacked Star Trek and are using it for a political ends, not for the sake. You're on the wrong side. You are the person in position of power who's saying that Black Lives Matter is correct because they're being killed in the streets, even though they're rioting, and they're like 26 or so black, specifically 26 people have died. One man has been burned alive in his home, in his business. One man has been burned alive in his business from the riots. Let me say that again. Burned alive. If you're for that, that's what Black Lives Matter has been doing. Everybody, not black people, but the political association, the political affiliation has been doing that. They haven't been calling out the deaths that have been happening. No, nobody has. It's like, well, no, we disagree with what's been happening. Well, should you not be calling it out? Should you be stopping it? Oh, no. Let them continue. Go fuck yourself. That Alex Kurtzman has hijacked Star Trek to promote not Star Trek.
The goal is not really to promote Star Trek,
but to promote the organization's political message, political ideologies, the real world, what we think it is. What does that have anything to do with the characters that you are creating? Well, they have to agree on Black Lives Matter. What if I disagree with Black Lives Matter? Then the show's not for you. Well, it was for everybody. There were some things that technically it was for everybody. There were some shows that were like, well, I don't like these characters, regardless of whether or not they were meant to say something about the real world, and if they were, I'd probably be turned off by that. But because it's some characters, like the capitalists, not in Deep Space, no, it was probably Deep Space Nine. Yeah, Deep Space Nine, they had those capitalist species, whatever they were very greedy people that were like, oh, this is how we do money and finances and stuff, and trying to build an empire and how you do business and try to maximize your profit, and that's all they really care for. I could see like a more of a libertarian leaning with that. I think some of the things that they talked about, they could have done better, but they tried. You know what? It's like I disagree with what they were trying to do, if anything, but there's some representation. But the representation was not your skin color, not an immutable characteristic, not of, hey, we have a gay people. We have gay people in our show. Yay, come watch it. Like, what does that have anything to do with the characters? The people who were the capitalists or quote-unquote libertarian people, like, I identified with them because of their ideology.
To promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these.
And he is political active. He's a political activist who hijacked Star Trek to promote a specific agenda, specifically an SJW, leftist, nihilistic, America is wrong, Trump is awful, fuck you if you disagree with us. That's... I'm gonna be doing the entire thing. There's more context with this. I've seen some other clips throughout the entire video. It's an hour and 18 minutes long. Please go watch the entire thing in its full context. I'm going to be doing it from start to finish, and this is what I'm going to be doing. So if you like some of this, please go and watch that other video. I'm going to be uploading at some other point within the week. It's going to be a longer video, so that's gonna take some time. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Please go out and do wondrous things with each other. Go do wondrous, go do immaculate. Hopefully that's the word I'm thinking about. Go out there and do wonders. Oh man, that sounds uplifting and spiritual, or somewhat spiritually uplifting. Let's just go with that word. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please smash that like button and subscribe button because that greatly helps this channel out. Please, and most importantly, go out and make wondrous things. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time.